You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
Just doing quick maths.
Mathematics.
It would have been way quicker if I was on a regular Excel. I can't do it on Mac. Excel sucks on Mac.
Does it? How would I know?
Well, sorry, numbers sucks on Mac. I don't have Excel.
Okay, because I have Excel on Mac and it works just like Excel everywhere else. As far as I know. I really don't do too much on Excel. I do like sum of A6 and B6 equal, and then enter, and it's like, oh, that's the number.
Look at you.
Yeah,
mathematician over here.
I'm pretty mathematical.
If it's cold now. Getting to feel like fall, really feel like fall, even though I've had my decorations up, but
yeah. Woke up this morning to a 55-degree day here in Chicago, and let me tell you, I had a sweatshirt on, had the windows open, just had a fall candle lit, just breathing the fall air,
breathing the synthetic fall air. This is my question. When do I take out the AC unit in my bedroom? I have one window in my bedroom, and it has an AC unit drilled into it. So it's like, once I take it out, it's out. But you never know, because last weekend was 85 degrees.
I would wait. Honestly, we have waited until November.
The issue is that then we kind of have to have it on at night because we can't open the window.
Yes. Yeah. It sucks. It sucks. But you have to take the L. You have to take the L because sometimes it's too damn hot. And I don't know about you, but we only have one window in the bedroom.
So do we.
And so, yeah, you're screwed. You got to have the air on. You just got to have the air on.
All right. I guess that's going to be how it's going to be.
And here we are talking about the weather. Just two crazy girls talking about the weather. Yeah,
we don't have anything else to talk about, actually, because we have nothing else in common. So weather is one thing that I feel like you and I can always talk about.
Yeah, and even then, sometimes we argue. It's okay, though.
Yeah.
I would say 50% of the time we don't argue. So it works out for us.
When we don't argue, we record our podcast together, which is the podcast you're listening to, Two Girls, One Crossword, your favorite weekly Podword Crosscast. I'm Grace Topinka.
And I'm Chelsea Rowan. It's another week in paradise. A spooky paradise. Beautifully spooky paradise.
When will we stop talking about Halloween? November 15th, okay? So sorry to our podcast listeners who don't care about Halloween, because we literally open every episode talking about it, but I feel
care. If you don't like Halloween, it's time to, reconsider.
Well, I have a fun update that is related to the poll that we can do after. But this I just thought of this and I need to tell everyone. Yes, I went to the wedding and yes, I did order absinthe at the bar.
Yes! Okay.
Did I look
proud
cool?
of you?
No, I looked like a huge nerd ordering it because I was like, do you guys have absinthe? And the guy was like, yeah. He's like, how do you want me to serve it? I was like, I was like, can you dilute it with water? So what he did was he just put ice and shook it and then poured it into a chilled glass. And because the one he had was partially diluted because they don't have the freaking absinthe fountain there at this bar.
Are you kidding me? What was this bar? I gotta call him.
I'll tell you later. But
yeah,
no, he was very nice and they had it and he made the drink for me and it was fine. It was something that you sip on. I feel like it got the job done. It wasn't horrible to drink and I looked cool doing it. So.
I saw a picture of you drinking it. The color was nice.
And I was wearing a green suit, and I drank a green drink.
Perfect. She looked great. A match made in heaven.
So?
She was the green fairy that night.
I was, basically. And then I drank 10 glasses of water, because I was like, I cannot be hungover tomorrow.
That reminds me of, remember the nicknames we gave each other at the Christmas party, where we both wore suits?
Jingle Bell and Mistletoe?
Yes.
What? Right?
Yeah. I always hated mistletoe. Just because it made me think of camel toe.
Mm.
Oh, well.
Can't go back now.
That's us.
But yeah, speaking of... Oh, no. Wait, absinthe wasn't even the poll. The poll was about another drink. There we go. I'm going to tie it together. Absinthe was last week. This week, we asked about Chelsea's topic from last week, which was espresso.
Espresso.
I said, there's no way to narrow this down into 4 choices, and really not even into 8, but I did the best that I could.
She did a good job. Do not come for her.
We had 8 options. What's your coffee drink of choice? Options were black coffee, coffee with cream and sugar, cold brew / iced coffee, and I feel like those are 2 different things and people might get mad, but whatever. I combined them.
Get over it.
Espresso, cappuccino, a latte, a macchiato, and I don't drink coffee. Then someone commented, like, I don't even drink coffee. I was like, that's one of the options. Okay, so majority of the votes, with 42% of the total votes, went to black coffee. So basically, our listeners are really like cool and artsy. I don't know. That sounds cool to me.
I mean, okay, but when I want to know, we have to do a follow-up poll. Black coffee, like black, like Folgers coffee, or like espresso? Like, what are you drinking?
No, espresso was an option on there.
Oh, sorry. It's
literally
so we're talking like
a cup of black coffee.
Cup of Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Java. Okay. Well, you're wrong, but it's fine.
There's no right or wrong answer here. Well,
Grace is always like the nice one, and I'm like, you guys are wrong. You suck.
Second place with 28% of the votes, I don't drink coffee.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. So we really have two different sides of the spectrum. But some people like drink tea instead, you know.
I understand that. I used to be a tea drinker, and then I went to grad school.
Classic
grad school.
In tied for second place with only 9% of the vote each was coffee with cream and sugar or cold brew / iced coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then tied for last place with 4% of the vote each was espresso and a macchiato.
Okay. I voted initially, well, I just voted for cream and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Because my coffee always has cream and sugar. Like, to me, there's no point unless like you're treating yourself. Like, I get that people are like, black coffee, like, oh, it's too sweet. I'm like, well, that's the point. But then I was like, well, hot or cold, my iced coffee also is with cream and sugar. It depends on the season. If you ask, you're asking me on the cusp here, where I could go iced or hot depending on the day.
People who drink iced coffee year round. But I find it funny. People are like, I drink iced coffee in the winter. It's like, so I drink cold water in the winter. Like, why is that a big deal? I drink cold soda in the winter. I don't really understand what the flex is.
No, I know.
I guess it's like the option to have it hot, but you choose to still have it cold.
Right. It's like you go to McDonald's and you're ordering a chola and you're like, actually, can you heat it up and hold the ice? Thanks.
I wish I drank iced coffee. Because it looks cool and you get to swirl around your ice. The only thing I do that with is refreshers. So,
but that's okay too. That's a flex in and of itself.
I'm definitely a refresher gal. Like
she's a refresher
what
girl.
I get at Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks, and we make our own refreshers, modeled after the Starbucks refresher.
They're crafty over there.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, we tried like different recipes. We finally found one I think that really works for us.
Nice. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
We apparently, we buy like Starbucks cold brew or like iced coffee, whatever, in a container to have in the fridge for the days where we don't go to like Dunks or Starbucks for iced coffee. It doesn't do the job the way it does when it comes out the window. You know what I'm saying? But it's
Trust
okay.
Me. We save
money that way.
A special treat is like I like look forward to it all week. Even we do it on Tuesdays most of the time, but not to give people my schedule. We switch it up. But sometimes it's on Friday, sometimes it's on Tuesday, and
I know exactly. Oh,
yeah.
The best is when I'm like, Matt, you want to get like a coffee? He's like, you want to go to the Dunks drive-thru? And the other day we were like, oh, we dropped Neptune off, and we were like, okay, we're headed home. And because Neptune goes to daycare, not that you asked, but he does. And I was like, do you want to get coffee? He's like, yeah, for sure. And we've been on a Dunks streak. Okay. So we just been going to Dunks, and there is a Dunks and a Starbucks like right next to each other in this one area. And so he drives past the Dunkin' Donuts, and I was like, you missed the entrance. And then he looks at me and I look at him and I'm like, are we going to Starbucks right now? And then we tried PSLs. So it was great.
You feel like Starbucks is better, like more of a treat than Dunks?
Not necessarily, but it's one of those things where like you kind of get in the swing and like Dunks is our thing. We love Dunks. We love Dunks. And then like when you try something out of the ordinary, you're like, okay, this is like extra special. Not because it tastes better or we prefer it. It's just like something else. Like if you're like McDonald's all the time, then you go to Wendy's that one time, you're like, this is nice.
We are a slave to drive-thrus. We're so American. That's like, for all the things I don't like about America, iced water and a lot of it available everywhere. In Europe, everyone gets like one thimble of water a day, and Drive
And then, like, you gotta go out back and bring your pail with you.
It's always room temperature. I can't.
Yeah.
How are you guys not so dehydrated out there?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
There's also
I know people
places
can
where,
drink at their house, but like,
yeah, there are places where like cultures that are like, you don't drink cold water at all because it's bad for your inside. And I'm like,
I understand that, but I mean, I wouldn't mind like just having a lot of water. I feel like they're pretty stingy with the water in Europe, at least at restaurants.
And they're like, would you like sparkling? And they give you sparkling. And it's like, this is not hydrating.
Yeah.
At all.
Anyways, should we get into our heights and shites?
Let's get into the heights and shites.
I have a couple from the Monday New York Times by Leslie Young and Andrea Carla Michaels. I feel like there were a couple different... Oh, okay. Yes, I will talk about that one. The themes were fun because they were really long answers. So the revealer was 14 down, implementable with expertise and expert ease, or how the starred clues answers can be taken. And it's down to a science. So all of the starred answers were... Okay, like 4 down. Routine medical checkup. Annual physical. But it could be like physical science. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was 13 down. Oh, shoot, I didn't do the clue. But it was ice cream social, which is a fun word to see. But it's not quite 15. It's only 14. Okay.
But
and then
social science, nice.
Yes, and then 7 down last. Oh, I liked that one. Oh, sorry. I'm all over the place. Okay, 13. Cool get together with cones and scoops is an ice cream social.
Okay.
And then 7 down, whom one might not marry no matter what. Last man on Earth. Earth science. But
nice.
I just liked the cluing and the long answers. And they all got tied together in the end.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's see. What else? I'll keep us on the puzzles with themes. I did the Friday, September 16th New Yorker by Eric Agard. The puzzle was titled Freestylers. That was the theme. The revealer was 41 across. What you can do by rearranging the letters of 17 and 26 across. And the answer was fashion designers. And so 17 across was get cold, and the answer was hit a slump. I'm like, fashion designers, what are they talking about? And then 26 across, person whose diet might include sprouted grains and hemp milk, and the answer was raw vegan. So I was like, what the hell? And then it all came together when I got to 51 across. 51 across was C26 and 41 across, and the answer was Vera Wang. So raw vegan rearranged spells Vera Wang. And I was like, that's hilarious. And so then 65 across was C17 and 41 across, and the answer was Paul Smith. So hit a slump rearranged is Paul Smith. So Paul and Vera are clearly fashion designers. And so that fits in with the theme freestylers. So that was fun. And I was like, why didn't I get this? Why did I have to wait until the end to be revealed? I should have gotten it, but it's fine. Also from that puzzle, 28 across, game that can be played with whatever's lying around. And the answer is I Spy. Very fun.
I have that on the brain. My niece likes to play that.
And then 25 down, exclamation during an Easter egg hunt. Found one. Just thought that was cute. Yes. It was a good puzzle. Very good puzzle, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you for your services.
Thank you so much for the crossword puzzle.
Well, staying on theme about themes, the Tuesday New York Times by Rebecca Goldstein and Rachel Faby remind me of one of your old topics. 17 across, verbal disapproval of a boy king was tut tut tut, like tut tut tut.
So good.
And then 28 across, food for a sturdy Chinese dog, ? Chow chow chow. 47 across, conference call for Mazda's marketing team. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
That was
64
good. That was good.
Across, glutes developed while dancing at the Moulin Rouge. The can.
I loved that. It was so good.
And then there was just some other good clues, like 38 across, Megan Thee Stallion's Blank Girl Summer. Hot Girl Summer. Love to see a New York Times. 46 across was put 2 and 2 together, e.g., and it was ads. But then 62 across was also put 2 and 2 together, e.g., and it was idiom.
Nice.
30...
Which, Grace, you did a topic on idioms.
I did. Yes.
a long, long time ago.
Long. I covered everything you need to know about idioms.
That's it. There's nothing else but that one singular episode.
39 down, Tina Fey's 30 Rock Roll, Liz Lemon. Just fun to see.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
That's all I got for that one.
I'll take us to the Monday, September 19th, New Yorker by Elizabeth Gorski. 29 across. What may be gotten for a song? Question mark. The answer was royalties. Very nice.
Nice.
1 down. Diamond Head? Question mark. Manager. We're talking baseball diamonds. Of course we are.
Classic baseball. Our favorite sport.
Our favorite. Get a good old glizzy at the baseball rink. 11 down. One who's an expert at reductions. I love seeing this. A saucier. I feel like, yes, I feel like a lot of, like, there are so many different positions in a kitchen that people might not be aware of. And a saucier is one of those things. And they're responsible for the sauces. Like, that's it. That's their responsibility. Depending on the restaurant. Like, not all restaurants have all positions, clearly. But
like Domino's.
I like that. Domino's. Actually, they do have a saucier at Domino's.
I mean, their sauce is important, so.
It is. It's just one guy standing and with the ladle in the sauce container, just waiting for the pizza. And they can't move, and they just wait for the pizza to come down the line.
It's made
That's
to
a
order
saucier.
for every pizza.
It's true. Also from that puzzle, 27 down. It's played with 4 hands. Piano duet.
Cute.
Very cute. And then I liked this one a lot. 31 down. Password protected operation? Question mark. Speakeasy.
Nice.
Very fun. What else you got, kid?
I did the Tuesday, September 21st, New Yorker by Patrick Barry. 51
Was
across.
Wait. I think that's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah. Is that what I said?
I thought you said Tuesday. Who knows? It's Wednesday. Whatever.
The Wednesday one, yes, September 21st. 51 across. Metaphorical place often invoked by men with nice guy syndrome. The friend zone.
Yes.
Don't make me go off about the friend zone.
Do not get her started. She has opinions.
22 across. Last digits in charm prices usually. 9s.
I didn't get it.
So that's like a marketing thing that apparently you're more likely to, like, in your mind, when you see $5.99, you associate it with $5 rather than $6.
Right.
Even though it's
got it.
closer to $6.
Got it.
33 across. Word that begins and ends the Three Musketeers motto. Another one of your topics. All for one for all.
Wait, did I do the Three Musketeers?
Oh no, you did Three Stooges.
Three Stooges.
Oh, damn it. I could have done the Three Musketeers. Whoops.
It was a hard week this week to get a topic. I'll tell you that right now.
I know.
Did you struggle?
Yeah, my topic is interesting, we'll say.
Okay. Mine is 2. Interesting.
We'll find out. Okay. 29 across. Bands popular in the 80s and 90s. And I would argue today, scrunchies, which, by the way, we opened talking about that last episode. So, Patrick Barry, are you listening?
Are you listening? It was shocking to see that.
I know. Okay.
Is that all you had for that one?
4 down. Wore to check the fit. Tried on. Which sounds like to check the fit, like how it fits you, but I also feel like it's like the fit, like to check the outfit. Oh.
Yes, of course. I also liked 23 across. Frequently found in verse? Question mark. And depending on how you read this, so if you said frequently found in verse? Question mark, you're like, what could that be? But if you say frequently found in verse? Question mark, the answer is oft. Oft meaning frequently. Of poetry. Oh. And I think if you're ever stuck with a question mark clue in a crossword, just read it through every time you change. And every time you read it through, you change the stressor. You change this whatever is stressed in the sentence. And then I always am able to figure out what the hell they're trying to talk about. So that's my little tip to you, listeners. I'm going to take us to the Tuesday, September 20th, New Yorker by Natan Lass. 1 across. Empty-headed Adonis. Himbo.
Amazing.
Was the opener. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So, you know how bimbo, but himbo?
Mm-hmm.
And I approve of himbos around
himbo
here.
Is positive, though.
Himbo has positive connotation and bimbo does not. So there's that. So Men win again. Also, 54 across, use a divining rod. And the answer was dowse. And we just talked about dowsing in episode 137. Taste test the waters. So it is spooky season. Get out your dowsing rods and find that water.
I dusted mine off the other day.
I see him hanging up on the door, and
yeah,
you could just use your regular home use. What's it called? Hanger.
Mm-hmm.
Just go out there and douse. That's what I got this week.
I have some others from the Washington Post Sunday Puzzle by Evan Bernholz.
Ooh,
In other words,
I love when you bring out the WAPO puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Okay, the opening, like the across and down. One across was aircraft carriers ? And the answer was bags, like you bring bags on an airplane.
Nice.
And then one down was they touch hot coals while firewalking, and it was bare feet.
Nice.
The theme was like this. So it would have like a reveal or clue, third date across, the 1929 novel by William Faulkner, or a hint to 17 across circled words. And then 17 across was north, south, east, and west, cardinal directions. Din from cardinal and ire from directions was circled. So the sound and the fury. Din, sound, ire, fury.
Okay.
So another example was...
damn, he is impressive. Sorry.
I know. Let's see. 95 across. 1995 Western starring Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman, or a hint to 83 across, circled word. The quick and the dead. And then 83 across was dinner dish served in the morning, breakfast plate. So fast in breakfast is quick, and then late in plate is dead.
Okay.
So Evan does it again. And then some other ones that I liked from the puzzle. 54 across, pejorative used in proselytization. Heathen. 78 across, 6 for Big Bird. Age, which I feel like I did learn that in my Sesame Street, but I forgot. Big Bird seems so much more mature than a 6-year-old, in my opinion.
He really does.
Like, Elmo doesn't know anything, but Big Bird, he's 6, he's like 10 at least. In my mind, he's like 32, but whatever.
We're just picking up the vibes of the person wearing the suit.
He doesn't seem, well, but Elmo really seems like a child. I guess
I know.
Elmo's just a puppet, though. Big Bird is like a person puppet.
A person puppet, yeah.
Does not seem 6 to me. I mean, he has his own mailbox. Okay, 52 down.
Yeah, what 6-year-old do you know that has their own mailbox? Someone explain that to me.
He runs Sesame Street. He's like in charge of it.
He is,
and he's on the same level as the
Street.
adults that live there. So, like, I think, I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while.
Is he the oldest? Is he the oldest on the street?
I don't know. I'm sure
if
there's any parent with a young child, let us know the lore.
Yeah, right.
52 across, bar numbers ? Karaoke.
Oh, I miss karaoke. Let's go karaokeing soon. We'll rent a private room.
After this.
Okay, see you there.
86 down, Pugsley to Morticia and Gomez. Sun by Adam's Family, another one of our topics.
Of course.
And then my last one, 101 down, change the subject, say, ? And the answer was edit.
Nice. I was thinking change the subject, like exile, like kick them out of your kingdom.
That's a good one.
And that's why I'd be an amazing crossword constructor. If I just put my mind to it, I'd be quite the proficient. I forgot to say, do you have any more hits and shits?
Nope.
I have a very minor corrections corner. Okay.
It's about the apostles again?
It's about the fucking apostles. Okay.
Oh my God.
They're coming out of the woodworks to find me. We had a listener write to us on Twitter and said, quote, actually, there were 14 apostles. Like, that's too many in my opinion. The original 12 plus Matthias? I don't know. I'm not a Christian. Who replaced Judas. I hate it. He replaced Judas. And honestly, I feel like that's like really sad for Judas.
One for one, though. You know what I mean?
Right. 14 throughout the timeline of apostles, but never 14 at once. Okay. And then later on, Paul became an apostle. I thought Paul was already
Paul was there the whole time.
Listen,
I know nothing.
I might have done 4 years of Catholic high school, and I might have done a lot of Sunday school because I was raised Lutheran. I only have like scraps of information.
I know like big picture stuff, but when we start
Like,
getting
there was
into
a
the
god,
details, like
and there was a
everyone's name,
sun
I'm not.
and a cross. There was a cross on one of the important days, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that story. But anyway, thank you for writing. Apparently there were 14 apostles. After Judas died, he got replaced, and then apparently that would have brought us back to 12, and then Paul added on, so 13 total. I don't know. We're just going to have to trust this listener with our hearts, because that's all we can do at this point.
That's all we can do.
Trust in God willing.
Trust
trusting.
and believe. A blind faith, if you will.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm having a lot of fun. Okay. Shall I flip the coin?
Flip it.
All right. I'm flipping the coin now.
I really wonder if we had the same. It was kind of rough. I wish I did Three Musketeers. No,
Okay.
I ended up liking my puzzle, or my topic.
I love my topic too.
Okay.
But whose turn is it? It is heads.
And I just pulled up my stuff. All right, guess I'll tuck in and get comfortable.
My topic comes from the Tuesday, September 20th New York Times by Rebecca Goldstein and Rachel Faby. 64 across. Glutes developed while dancing at the Moulin Rouge. The can.
No,
We're talking about the Moulin Rouge today.
Ugh, of course, that one's obvious. I should have picked that, but I
You
didn't.
should have picked it. But it's okay. It's okay. It's rare when we have the same topics. It's a
Yeah.
shocker to us, and I know.
No, it's much
I
easier when we
know.
do separate ones.
It is, because then when we have the same topic, we have to pause, and we have to take like 20 minutes to talk about how we're going to do it. You know? And I know that the earth shakes for our listeners just like it shakes for us when they hear that we have the same topic. But today is not one of those days, my friends. I'm talking about the Moulin Rouge, and Grace is not.
Moulin Rouge.
Ooh, okay.
We kind of talked about Moulin Rouge in the absinthe episode.
I know. Yes,
the French. Can't get away from them.
French. You can't. You literally cannot. So yeah, talking about the Moulin Rouge, the place, not the play. The Moulin Rouge, for those who do not know, is a cabaret in Paris on Boulevard des Clichés, which is in Montmartre, or Montmartre, whatever you want to say, if you want to say it with your French accent. It has a notable appearance, which includes a red building and a red windmill on the roof. Aside from being the name of a famous Broadway musical, it is also a popular tourist destination for anyone visiting Paris. Why, you might ask? Well, the Moulin Rouge is best known as the birthplace of the modern form of the can dance. It's true.
Can you
can? You can at the Moulin Rouge. Yeah. The can dance was originally introduced as a seductive dance performed by courtesans who operated from the site. Okay, so we're talking sex workers here. And the can dance eventually evolved into a form of entertainment of its own and led to the introduction of cabarets all across Europe. So thanks to the Moulin Rouge, we have cabarets, we've got the can dance, cabaret, you know? So where did it all begin? For that, we need to travel back in time, a time called the Belle Epoque. It was a time in French history and European history from between 1871 up until the outbreak of World War I in 1914. For the French, the Belle Epoque was a period of optimism, regional peace, economic prosperity, colonial expansion, LOL, technological, scientific, and cultural innovations as well. It was also an era in which French culture and arts flourished, with numerous masterpieces of literature, music, theater, and visual arts being like widely recognized. So I'm going to run down some of the like things that were happening during the Belle Epoque. Okay. This was the time of the Wright brothers, the telegraph, the first ever Peugeot, which is like a famous type of car, the Lumiere brothers, who made the first film. In terms of art, we had Gauguin, Matisse, Picasso, Proust, Baudelaire, Verlaine, Rimbaud, Stravinsky. Stravinsky we talked about on this podcast. He did the Rite of Spring ballet, which was like the weirdest ballet ever that caused a riot. That was the Belle Epoque era. Debussy is also from this time. So we're living in this time of the artist. And remember, we just talked about absinthe. We were talking about the artists who were like obsessed with absinthe. Like not only are the people going to the cabaret, but they're going to the cabaret and drinking absinthe. They're having lots of fun.
Mm-hmm. Doing all types of stuff.
Yes, they are. So the Moulin Rouge is in Montmartre, which is the 18th arrondissement of Paris, which is essentially their neighborhoods. And it is home to the Moulin Rouge. And the Moulin Rouge became a focal point of this Belle Epoque, like this flourishing artistic movement. Montmartre in particular was like the hipster artist neighborhood. You know, like every major city has like, oh, that's where the hipsters live. Mm-hmm. And at this time, Montmartre was that district. Artists, students, musicians, and other liberal-minded nonconformists were drawn to the area's low rents and revolutionary attitudes. And the anything goes nightclubs, baby. Okay, that brings us to the Moulin Rouge, also known as La Moulin Rouge because it is French. Prior to 1864 in Paris, there were many restrictions that made opening privately owned theaters very difficult. But those restrictions were eased in 1864, and therefore there was a huge boom of cabaret and music venues in Paris. On October 6, 1889, the same day that the Eiffel Tower was premiered, the Moulin Rouge was opened at the foot of a hill in Montmartre.
Wow, that's a huge day for Paris.
It's a big day for Paris. They haven't had a day as big as that since. I'll just say that right now. So Montmartre was actually once like a really rural village, famous for its windmills, which is interesting. And that's kind of like how a windmill ended up on top of, you know, the Moulin Rouge, because it was in a village, or originally a village that was home to a lot of windmills. And then Montmartre was annexed by Paris in 1860. So it's kind of like folded into Paris. We got this cabaret, etc. And that's where the Moulin Rouge was founded by two businessmen, Joseph Aller and Charles Zidler. Just like a fun fact about Joseph Aller, he was a professional gambler and businessman, and he owned a bunch of other nightclubs in Paris, one of which was called the Olympia, which is still the oldest music hall in Paris. So bravo to him. He opened two of the biggest music halls in Paris.
Who would have thunk? What have we done?
We have a podcast.
We barely scratched the surface there.
I'm telling you, Grace, 50 years, our podcast is going to be a testament to a time gone by. They'll be talking about us on another podcast. Who knows? Anyway, so their goal, these two businessmen, their goal with opening the Moulin Rouge was to allow the very rich essentially to come to the super artistic neighborhood and essentially slum it. So it's like you've got a really like low rent, low income artist kind of neighborhood, and lots of art is flourishing here. And these two businessmen come by and they're like, okay, let's gentrify. Let's do it. And so then they open the Moulin Rouge, and with the goal of like bringing wealthy patrons in to spend a ton of money and basically like see how the other half lives, you know? Yeah, we see this happening all the time. So the Moulin Rouge was a very extravagant setting. We've already talked about the big red windmill on top of the building, but there was also an adjoining garden that had an ornate elephant in the middle of it, like a big elephant statue that apparently was bought by Aller from the Paris World's Fair in 1889. So he bought it from the World's Fair and had it moved to the garden outside of the Moulin Rouge. The Moulin Rouge allowed people from all walks of life to mix. We're talking workers, local residents, artists, the middle classes, businessmen, elegant women, and foreigners passing through Paris. Aller and Zidler nicknamed the Moulin Rouge the first palace of women because you would go there to see women dance. So when you imagine a show at the Moulin Rouge today, you probably picture dancers doing the can-can and ruffled skirts. And you wouldn't be wrong. The can-can was a big part of the venue's success right from the founding, but the Moulin Rouge did offer more than the can-can. Also, it had clowns, acrobats, ballerinas, tightrope walkers, and singers. But aside from that, I want to talk about the hall where you would like go inside and like watch these can-can dancers. So the hall of the Moulin Rouge was designed by a French architect named Adolphe Willet, and it was complete with chandeliers, mirrored walls, and a huge dance floor so that patrons, as well as the performers, could show off their moves. And outside was the Jardin de Paris, the Garden of Paris. That was where the elephant was. And it also had its own dance floor so that you could dance outside on the summer nights. You could also apparently take donkey rides at the Moulin Rouge if you wanted to. And then, okay, so if you've seen the Baz Luhrmann 2001 Moulin Rouge, which I'm hoping all of our listeners have, you probably remember when Nicole Kidman's character, she would like greet people inside of an elephant.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
I've only seen the movie like 10 times.
That's the elephant I'm talking about. Okay, and there's a little rumor that during like the time of the Moulin Rouge was actually an opium den inside.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So it wasn't a bedroom to meet a courtesan?
Exactly. Well, I mean, maybe it was, but maybe they also had opium inside. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Even though the Moulin Rouge wasn't just Can-Can, we're going to talk about Can-Can anyway. It's the performance that's most associated with the Moulin Rouge. Its notable characteristics are quick-footed high kicks. The name of the dance, Can-Can, means scandal, which I thought was fun. And we can't really pinpoint the origin of the dance, but there are a couple theories. The first is it supposedly evolved from part of another energetic dance called the quadrille, which was danced by couples at social events. So it's a 4-person dance, and you would dance it like across from each other, and like, you're standing across from your partner, and you're kind of like in a square, and you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The quadrille, quadrille, okay?
Square.
And it was danced in ballrooms in the 19th century of French elite. But then the steps of the Can-Can may also have been inspired by a popular entertainer from the 1820s named Charles Mazurier, who was well known for his acrobatics, including jump splits. And jump splits and acrobatics are a big part of the Can-Can. You got to be able to split, and I'm talking split. When I've read testimonies of women who are Can-Can dancers today, and they're like, it hurts to kick like that. And it's like when one of them said, when one person's screaming, we're all screaming. And I'm like, how is this fun for you?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, yes. So the dance, the Can-Can, at the time was considered very scandalous, and there were attempts to suppress it. Partly because in the 19th century, women wore pantalettes, which was essentially their underwear, right? Which had an open crotch. Okay. And so the high kicks of the Can-Can were intentionally revealing, right?
Okay.
Imagine sitting up close to that, and you're like trying to drink your absinthe, and you got a woman just Can-Canning right in your face, and you're like, hello,
that's
ladies.
why you think that you're hallucinating on absinthe.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You're like, ladies. You're like, wait a second, did I just see that? And your friend's like, you did not just see that. And you're like, I just saw that. And you think you're hallucinating. Originally, the Can-Can was performed as an individual dance, not as a chorus line. But as the dance became more popular, professional performers started emerging in the in the late 1890s. And you eventually were able to make a living off of becoming a Can-Can performer. So it used to just be like dancing for entertainment, and then suddenly it's like these famous world-known Can-Can dancers started evolving and coming to the scene and making tons of money. I'm going to talk about 3 of them. The first star, La Gouloule, okay, her name was Louise Weber, aka La Gouloule, which stands for the glutton. Apparently, she had a habit of stealing patrons' drinks, and that's why she was called the glutton, and I love that for her. She was known to use her high kicks to kick men's top hats off of their heads. So that's how high she was kicking, and good for her. She apparently lived a very exuberant life off stage. She served time in jail for a bit. She became a lion tamer. She was a traveling dancer, a laundress, and eventually she succumbed to alcoholism, sadly. Another famous Can-Can dancer at the time was Jane Avril. She was known for her beautiful red hair. She was previously a bareback horse rider in a circus before she was hired to work at the Moulin Rouge. And then she was famous for her fast legs and sad expression. And people assume that her sad expression was like a reflection of a very difficult life that she had led. And that's kind of like what she's known for. And then that was like the first generation of Can-Can dancers. And then the generation after Can-Can dancers produced the probably most famous Can-Can dancer of all. Her name was Jean-Marie Bourgeois, but her stage name is Mistinguett. Oh, I see a kitty cat appeared on the YouTube.
Sorry. Arnold, get off me. Okay. I didn't even see him coming.
He was like, you're talking about Can?
He's like, I can can. He probably could. He's very flexible.
He's flexible and he's cute, so let him try. We're gonna let him try. All right, so her stage name, Jean-Marie Bourgeois' stage name was Mistinguett, and she debuted on the Moulin Rouge stage in 1907, and she quickly became the venue's like main star. Mm-hmm. She had decadent shows that included multiple songs, multiple costume changes, and semi-nudity. She was also famous for her legs, which she insured for $1 million.
Amazing.
So good for her.
Is that who Nicole Kidman's character is based off?
You know, I'm not sure.
No
Nicole Kidman's character is named Satine.
Yeah.
There are characters in the Moulin Rouge movie that were based off of real people.
Like Harry Ziegler sounds like Zimmer or whatever.
Yeah, I think probably one of the founders of the club, right? Moving on from the Can, in 1915, the Moulin Rouge burnt down. Whoops. Yeah, but it was reopened in 1921. It then closed again in 1929. It was then transformed into a cinema with a nightclub instead of where the ballroom had been. The Moulin Rouge stayed open during World War II when it was frequented by German officers because they occupied, Paris during World War II, including high-ranking Nazi officials as well as locals. Interestingly enough, Edith Piaf had her first performance at the Moulin Rouge in 1944, just a few months before the city was liberated. This is interesting because after World War II, Piaf escaped accusations of collaborating with Germans over her wartime performances, but many of the other women who worked at the Moulin Rouge were punished for supposedly fraternizing with the enemy. Interesting. But just remember, I don't know if it was clear, but a lot of the women that worked at the Moulin Rouge, not only were they dancers, but they were sex workers. So just, I don't know.
Just doing their job.
Obviously I wasn't there, but I do think that there were probably some women that literally didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So just keep it in mind. So in 1952, the Moulin Rouge was restored to its former life as a cabaret and is still open today. In 2019, it celebrated its 130th anniversary. And then the only people dancing at the Moulin Rouge today are the performers. There's no open dance floor. The audience sits around the stage at tables. They can eat dinner, drink champagne, and also it used to be just a club for adults, but now any children older than 6 are welcome to go.
Oh my God.
Tickets to attend the Moulin Rouge are over €100. And according to CBS, the venue is open 365 days a year with 60 performers, including men and women, high kicking, 2 shows, 6 days a week. And the Moulin Rouge is mostly seen by Parisians as a tourist trap. And of the 600,000 visitors that are drawn to the Moulin Rouge every year, half are foreigners. I'm going to talk about a famous patron of the Moulin Rouge, French painter Henri-Marie Raymond de Toulouse-Lautrec Moonfa, better known as Toulouse-Lautrec, probably one of the most famous painters of the time, lived in Montmartre starting in the mid-1800s. He was actually hired by the Moulin Rouge to create a poster for the venue in 1891, and the resulting poster showed the dancer La Galoule, the glutton, performing for a crowd with the shape of a man and a top hat in front of her, and the poster is super famous. Toulouse-Lautrec was a Moulin Rouge fixture, and the venue actually reserved a seat for him every night. He liked sitting at the bar. He befriended the dancers and the sex workers, and he is today best known for his portraits of the dancers and sex workers, showing them in an empathetic and non-judgmental yet unflinchingly honest light. So if you've seen any of his Moulin Rouge painting or art, it's really fun, and it also gives you a glimpse into what Paris was like at the time. But I want to end on my favorite part, my favorite little history tidbit about the Moulin Rouge. A famous scandal that happened at the Moulin Rouge. What could this be? Okay. So, even though crowds of people flocked to Moulin Rouge to see supposedly scandalous Can, and to essentially not worry about societal norms, right? They were going to Bohemia. They just wanted to let loose and be free. They were not expecting the shock they got by a performance in 1907. Sidonie Gabrielle Colette, better known as just Colette, was the most famous writer in France in the early 20th century, and a woman, so bravo. There's actually a movie about Colette's life. It's a biopic starring Keira Knightley. Would highly recommend it if anybody gives a crap. I don't know how like true to history it is, but I had a lot of fun. I like Keira Knightley. So if you're interested, check that out. And they actually have this scene in the movie, so it's a lot of fun. So throughout Colette's life, she was married to 3 different men and had affairs with many others, including affairs with a son of one of the men she was married to. But she also had relationships with women. Her lover in the final 6 years of her first marriage was Marquis de Belbouf, nicknamed Missy.
Cute.
Colette and Missy took to the stage of the Moulin Rouge in 1907 for an act called Rêve d'Egypte, or Egyptian Dream, in which Missy played an archaeologist and Colette played a mummy. Colette unwound her bandages to reveal a jeweled bra, and then the two of them kissed on stage.
In front of everyone?
In front of everyone. Could never. So the sight of 2 women kissing on stage nearly caused a riot among the audience. They were outraged. It got so bad that the chief of police threatened to close the cabaret down for good.
Oh my god, grow up, people.
Yeah. And apparently, Colette and Missy only performed the show one more time before it was canceled from the venue.
But this is supposed to be like an artist, like Bohemia.
I know. And everybody knew that Colette was messing around with women.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were like, I just don't understand why. Some people were just so shocked. And I'm like, if you were hanging out in artist circles at the time and you knew Colette, you knew she was like hanging around with women. So like,
what's the BFD?
Yeah, anyway, that's Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. And I want to watch the movie again really badly because Ian McGregor is a mood.
He is so
Nicole Kidman is a mood.
Good. Like, his singing is so good in that movie, and yet he never sings again. He
and for
plays
what? For
Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast, which I haven't seen, but he barely sings. I mean, Lumiere doesn't need a range. He sings, what, Be Our Guest?
Yeah,
mostly talking.
He was amazing in Moulin Rouge. That movie is so good.
I know. That was like one of my obsessions when I was younger. Like, I feel like there are a couple movies I watch over and over again, and I listened to the soundtrack of Moulin Rouge over and over and over and over. I had it on a CD. And I had my little Walkman.
I had never seen it. And then I had a friend show it to me when I was in like 11th grade. And I was like, why haven't I seen this before? Why haven't I seen this before? And that was it. I loved it. And that was the end of that.
Toulouse is also a name of a character in Moulin. It's funny to see now, like, all the people in it are kind of named after like real people. Yes.
And like, I think a lot of people probably have seen Toulouse-Lautrec's work without realizing who it is. So Google the name and you'll be like, oh, that, like, when you think of like a painting from Paris from the early 1900s, late 1800s, the image you're seeing is probably a Toulouse-Lautrec painting.
I feel like he also was known for drinking absinthe, but I may be making that up, but I feel like I saw that in my research.
I feel like I saw that too. So no, I think it all tracks. So it all comes together. If you listen to our podcast long enough, our topics are interlaced. I would have been I wouldn't have been shocked to see the Ice King show up here, but he didn't.
You never know. He shows up when he wants
randomly.
To. My topic comes from the Wednesday, September 21st, New Yorker by Patrick Barry. 54 cross, blank of Providence, symbol associated with the Illuminati. The Eye of Providence.
Are we talking about the Illuminati?
We are.
It was going to happen one of these days.
It's not a conspiracy theory episode because I'm very careful to go too deep into conspiracy theories because oftentimes they're like super problematic and whatever.
Yeah,
but
most conspiracy theories lead you to a place that you do not want to be, folks. Just throwing it out there.
Except for the moon landing. Okay. Other than that, okay, so the Illuminati. Today, they're commonly depicted as like lurking in the shadows, pulling the strings and levers of power from behind the scenes. They control the media, celebrities, the government. But are they real? Well, they're definitely based on a real group that existed in the past. So I'm going to focus more on the original Illuminati organization than like current conspiracy theories.
Let's do it.
I got most of my information from an article on BBC.com called The Birthplace of the Illuminati by Matthew Vickery and a Vox article called 9 Questions About the Illuminati You Were Too Afraid to Ask by Phil Edwards. So.
Okay, wait. Does the Illuminati have anything to do with National Treasure? Tell me right now.
I mean, like, kind of. There are, we'll kind of get to how it inspired, like, this kind of conspiracy fiction.
Yeah, I'm mostly just having fun, but
yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I've never seen National Treasure, but yeah, sorry. We'll put it on the list. But the Eye of Providence, isn't that that's like the eye on the $1 bill. So
yeah. Oh my God, I cannot wait to show you. Nicolas Cage and National Treasure is like one of the best movies of all time. Anyway, please talk about the Illuminati.
Okay, so the birthplace of the Illuminati was Ingolstadt, which was a city in Bavaria, Germany, which may sound familiar because it's the city where Frankenstein takes place.
Hello.
Back to that later.
It's Frankenstein.
On May 1st, 1776, Adam Weishaupt, a professor of law at the University of Ingolstadt, founded the Order of the Illuminati, which was a secret organization that was created to oppose religious influence on society by fostering a safe place for critique, debate, and free speech. Weishaupt was the only non-clerical professor at a university run by Jesuits, and the Jesuits controlled all the funding at the university. I think he was the only non-clerical law professor, but they controlled all the funding at the university, and they made constant attempts to discredit non-clerical staff, especially when course material, had anything that they regarded to be like liberal or Protestant. So Weishaupt believed strongly in Enlightenment ideals and wanted to educate, members of his Illuminati organization in reason, philanthropy, and other secular values so that they could influence political decisions if and when they got into power.
Got it.
At first, Weishaupt picked up his 5 best law students to join, but at its largest, the Illuminati had 650 to 2,500 members, and it spread to France, Hungary, Italy, and Poland. So the Illuminatis, they were anti-clerical and anti-royal. They had an elaborate network of informants who would, infiltrate public offices and report back information about state and religious figures that could later be used against them. They also published political satires and propaganda to make the public aware of the crimes of the ruling class, kind of like today's WikiLeaks.
I wonder, what if that was what the founder had in mind when he founded it, or he was just trying to have a safe space, and then it kind of grew into this thing, and he's like, "Damn, I didn't know I'd be blackmailing politicians," but okay.
No, I think that it was definitely done with the idea that they would eventually come into power, and then they would rule from a non-secular.
Interesting.
Okay, so they had some unique rituals. They used symbols like the owl of Minerva. They adopted pseudonyms to avoid identification. So Weishaupt was Spartacus. And they had complicated hierarchies like novice Minerval and illuminated Minerval that divided the ranks, which reminds me of Scientology.
Yeah.
But what kind of members did this, progressive so-called group have?
Tell me.
Christians of good character were actively sought. So not Catholics, but Christians. Jews and pagans were specifically excluded, along with women, monks, and members of other secret societies. So
it's interesting how that works out.
It's interesting because I feel like, especially now, the conspiracy theories about this elite group, New World Order, all that stuff, it tends to be anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
but it's no, Jews were never allowed in these secret societies.
Yeah, no. We could. You and I can have a conversation on the side about this, but
it's almost every conspiracy theory drills down
goes
to
back
anti-Semitic
to
stuff. So
yeah.
The ideal candidates were rich, docile, willing to learn, and aged 18 to 30. Apparently, they didn't trust anyone over the age of 30 because they were too set in their ways. So obviously, we wouldn't get picked up for multiple reasons, but age being one of them.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I do like the idea of first of all, listening to young people. I think it's really important to listen to young people, So I think that's one thing that they got right. But
yeah, I mean, and being anti-royal and anti, the church, more specifically the Catholic Church, I can get behind that.
For sure. And also 30 at the time, you probably were set in your ways because you were going to die in 5 years anyway. So yeah.
30 back then is today's 50.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's some ideas okay, that Enlightenment ideals, that's fine. Then other stuff's okay, but then you seem to have
Why
other
do you
issues.
suck? Yeah.
So, were they successful in taking over the world? Some people believe yes, and that they are still alive and well today
Oh my god.
and are working behind the scenes. However, most historians believe that the group only existed for a decade, and while they did have some influence, it's hard to distinguish their influence from that of the Freemasons, which is a different group that's kind of similar and often confused between the two. But Illuminati used to like infiltrate Freemason group and like, what's it called? Get people, like poach people from the Freemasons.
Sure.
Weishaupt could have joined the Freemasons, but he felt it was too expensive to join, and it was not open to all of his ideas. So that's why he created his own group.
And I believe the Freemasons is a lot older than this Illuminati group. So.
And way bigger. But I feel like for some reason now people are more focused on Illuminati. And when I was just searching Illuminati, I saw all this stuff like Illuminati Freemason. It's like they're technically two different things.
They're different
They're kind of similar and like intertwined in some ways, but
right. And like the Freemasons are out in the open. Like you can find like a Freemason temple today. You know, like it's not like we're not going to find like you're not going to walk down the street and find an Illuminati basement bunker. No. It just doesn't exist. Anyway, go ahead.
So why did this original Bavarian group disappear? Well, in 1785, Duke of Bavaria Karl Theodor banned secret societies, including the Illuminati, and instituted serious punishments for anyone who joined them. Most of the group's secrets were then disclosed or published, and if you believe most historians, the Illuminati disappeared. Weishaupt was banished from Ingolstadt to live the rest of his life in Gotha, another German city. But even though the group disbanded, the conspiracy theories went on, basically from the moment they disbanded. So there's like proof of people talking about the Illuminati. In 1797, physicist John Robinson wrote about these conspiracy theories, accusing the Illuminati of infiltrating the Freemasons. That same year, Abbe Augustin Berulle, in his History of the Jacobins, promoted the theory that secret societies, including the Illuminati, were behind the French Revolution. Then, in 1798, George Washington even wrote a letter acknowledging the Illuminati, but saying that the U.S. had avoided the threat. And here's some quotes from that letter.
Okay.
Quote, I have heard much of the nefarious and dangerous plan and doctrines of the Illuminati, but never saw the book until you were pleased to send it to me. Then he goes on to say, in regards to his own involvement, because the person who originally wrote him the letter, like, accused him of being involved or controlling secret societies in the U.S. And Washington says, quote, to correct an error you have run into of my presiding over the English lodges in this country. The fact is, I preside over none, nor have I been in one more than once or twice within the last 30 years. I believe, notwithstanding, that none of the lodges in this country are contaminated with the principles ascribed to the Society of the Illuminati. Even Thomas Jefferson was accused of being in the Illuminati.
Oh my God. What about Benny Franks?
He didn't come up. I thought he would. But this panic eventually fizzled out, as things are cyclical. But this kind of historical mentioning of the group helps flame conspiracy ideas today, because people are like, no, the Illuminati is real. Like George Washington talked about them. It's like, yeah, they were real, like in Bavaria, in the whatever,
Yeah.
But historically in the...
And it's also like people need to believe that, like, let's talk about the French Revolution. People need to believe that the French Revolution was orchestrated by some secret society and not by like thousands of people that have been subjugated horribly under the rule of a horrible like aristocracy and like royal class. Like, hello. Anyway, yes.
We'll touch on that later.
Okay.
Historically in the U.S., there's been more panic about the Freemasons than the Illuminati, although many Americans confuse them for each other. Like I said, it's because they were intertwined in some ways. The Eye of Providence from the clue, like the eye in the triangle above the pyramid on the dollar bill, is a Freemason symbol, not necessarily an Illuminati one, but I feel like it's more like, it's hard because there is some intertwining. I feel like it's more associated with Illuminati. I mean, that's how the clued it.
Yeah, and like when you think of like Illuminati memes, they're all with the Eye of Providence. So anyway, interesting.
Why did interest in the Illuminati get resurrected? Well, it never fully disappeared, but it made it back into pop cultures in the 1970s. There was a book trilogy called the Illuminatus Trilogy by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson. And according to Wikipedia, the trilogy is a satirical, postmodern, science fiction-influenced adventure story, a drug, sex, and magic-laden trek through a number of conspiracy theories, both historical and imaginary, related to the author's version of the Illuminati. Weishaupt is even a real character in the book, but the book is a fantasy book, and it's supposed to be like satirical and, But this led to other conspiracy fiction like Angels and Demons, you know, and then that kind of sparked all these different obsessions with like conspiracies.
So it's funny you should say this. There is research has been done. I'm trying to remember. I'll have to look it up, but trust me on this. Just blind faith, folks. But that a lot of the reason, first of all, conspiracy theory is huge in the US specifically. Okay. Like, obviously, there are other places that believe in conspiracy theories, but it's a huge problem in the United States, and it's traced back to the death of JFK and the botching of the US government and the CIA and all this stuff, which then fueled and like fanned this like distrust and disbelief in like institutions and etc. And after like the conspiracy theories around JFK kind of started happening in the late 60s into the 70s, then conspiracy theory obsession exploded in the US. So it's not surprising to me at all that this book series was published in the 70s. And then again, just more conspiracy theories, just like whatever. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can listen to the last podcast on the left series about JFK's assassination. It's insane. And they talk about specifically conspiracy theories and how they started like kind of exploding in the US in the late 60s. So anyway.
No, that makes sense. And like satanic panic and all this stuff. And it's kind of like, it's hard because it's like, well, no, I don't trust the government either.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes they like want you to be outraged at this like invisible movement, like the satanic panic, because it's easier than like holding the people who are making decisions accountable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So Illuminati started popping up with other conspiracy theories like Satanism and aliens, something that the Bavarian Illuminati like had nothing to do with. But these days, the Illuminati have been blamed for JFK's assassination, 9/11, and even like Beyonce becoming Beyonce, to name a few.
Bananas.
But let's go back to the Bavarian town of Ingolstadt. So there's not much in the town that references that the Illuminati was started there, except for a small plaque outside Weishaupt's former home, marking it as an Illuminati meeting place in the late 18th century. City archivist Maria Eppelsheimer says, quote, "It's crazy what the Illuminati has been made into. What it's been made into has nothing to do with the real Illuminati." Local journalist Michael Klarner leads Illuminati-themed walking tours of the city. He talks about when the city was created in the 15th century, Professor Johann Eck wanted to cement it, especially the university, as a bastion for Catholic faith, something that Weishaupt would try to counteract 2 centuries later. So it's kind of like the history of that city. It was like made to be like a Catholic city, and then, you know, this whole organization kind of grew from being under that, you know, kind of power.
Sure.
Many historians believe that Weishaupt's Enlightenment ideal permeated society on their own, not just as a result of the Illuminati influence, more as a natural result of people getting tired of living under the church and monarchy, like you were saying about the French Revolution. But there are like some, you know, it's kind of interesting to look back at some things. I'm going to end on this quote from Klarner, the journalist who lives in Ingold, whatever. Quote, "You know, Frankenstein is believed to have been based in the city because of the Illuminati. By the French Revolution, there were already theories that the revolution began in Ingolstadt and that the Illuminati were the intellectual fathers of the revolution. This is why many literary theorists believe Mary Shelley knew about Ingolstadt and why Frankenstein was then set here."
Interesting.
Yes. But I kind of agree. It's like a lot of people were feeling that way, you know?
Of course. And like you said that the organization spread to like many cities and there's like however many members like all over. And it's like, you know, maybe some of the Illuminati like thoughts and beliefs made their way to France and influenced the people that then made it possible for there to be a French Revolution. Yeah. But
those beliefs were like the only reason the Illuminati existed was because Enlightenment ideals were already circulating. You know.
Yeah, and anyway.
Well, Moulin Rouge is a really good movie. We should definitely watch that soon.
We really should. I can't believe we haven't watched it together.
That's have like a watched fun it one. Together.
Have we?
Yes.
When?
In Indiana.
Oh my God, we watched that together in Indiana.
I remember because I rented it from the library.
I remember watching Twilight.
Yeah.
And Summer Heights High.
We stuck Moulin Rouge in there for a little bit.
But now I remember Moulin Rouge. You're right. I totally forgot. That's the most recent I've watched it. But we like sit and watch it together. We have to sit and watch it.
Our next
I think
movie
we were
night,
doing a
we'll
puzzle.
do Moulin Rouge and the Nicolas Cage one.
National Treasure.
Mhm.
It's so
The two classics.
Grace, I think you're going to love National Treasure. I just know it in my heart of hearts. I
And
can't wait
then
to watch Nicolas Cage
I
on
feel
screen.
like we also need to watch the second Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a lot of catching up to do.
We really do.
Until next time, listeners, you can talk to us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls.
Come on down, grab a bottle of absinthe, and let's do the can. Am I right, ladies?
When you're right, you're right. All right, well, until
All right.
then.
Keep curious, folks. Goodbye.
Bye.